Hello and welcome back to the Spotlight Games podcast for episode 115. It's March, which means March Madness, which means sports, which means we're going to rank the 10 best sports games in video game history. But before we do that, let's talk to our sweet dumpster boy, Cayman Darty. Cayman, how you doing?
I'm here, Patrick.
You are. You're here.
I'm here. You know what, Patrick? I think it's time for.
What is it time
we
for?
can do this again. That was a really sad. That was a really sad beer crack moment. It's not beer though. Still can't drink beer.
Yeah, no. You know what I'll do, Cayman? In post, there'll be fireworks. I'll bump up that volume. It's gonna blow people away. They're gonna be like, "What do you mean that was sad?" Because it's gonna sound.
It was used to be like my favorite thing in the world. We used to record STC like Sunday mornings at 11, and so we'd like start up STC. And it'd be like, it is way too early for me to be having a beer at this point. So I used to lie, Patrick. I don't know if you remember this. It's been a while since we've done an episode. I used to lie and do beer crack moments with a LaCroix.
Yeah, I do remember this.
And
here's the thing. This is the first thing I'll say, Cayman. I'm not going to say you were lying. I'm going to say you were withholding the truth.
Oh,
for the sake of entertainment.
Yeah. It was like a thing. We always had like those moments every episode where, you had to, but it's okay.
It's okay.
Yeah, it's fine. I had a stretch where when I first was like, can I test? The good news is a local place in town we would like to go to.
Yeah.
They do mocktails.
Ooh, love a mocktail.
So it's really nice to be able to be like, and it's also nice too. Like we go out, like Saturday, for instance, we had a block party in our city. So we live in a tiny town.
Yeah, teeny tiny.
Yeah, we moved from the city to the woods, is what I say. And this our tiny little town. We do block parties, and so like start off, we stop by Old No, we see our friends, we have a couple drinks, and then we go out. We get back after the block party is over to because we parked our car there. And I was like, you know what? I have a few drinks. We're going to hang out here for a couple hours. I'm just going to go to mocktails.
Ooh.
And you know what? It's fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
Having that option now,
I
think it's a great thing to be able to be like, I can still enjoy a really good beverage.
Yeah.
But it's not going to get me drunk. And I can sober up, which is wonderful. I love it.
Because we're in our 30s. It's all downhill from here.
It's been downhill for years now.
Right. So yeah, if I want to just have a nice little crisp little cucumber something without the gin, I'm in.
Mine, they do this like smoked green tea.
Ooh.
It's called Holy Smoke. It's like my drink, and you can get it with absinthe, which is like my go-to liquor of choice if I can get it. Or I can just get it normal, and it just tastes like a mezcal margarita without any booze in it. And let me tell you, fucking
smoky.
Great. I love it.
Smoky. Cayman.
Yeah,
it feels good to be back. We took last week off. I did a naughty thing, and I'm really bad about keeping a calendar. And I could have known this for months. Around Christmas time, bought me and Rose tickets to go see one of our favorite artists, Jenny Lewis, in Atlanta. Like 3 days before, I'm like, oh fuck, that's on a Tuesday. Guess we're not doing the podcast. But it's okay. We're back. And we got a lot of video game stuff to talk about because this is the Spotlight Games podcast where each week we spotlight the latest and the greatest in the world of video games. You can get it by subscribing to our YouTube channel at Spotlight Games Pod or by searching for Spotlight Games in your favorite podcast app. And hey, you can be on the show by tuning in as we record live Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern time on twitch.tv/Spotlight Games Pod. So be sure to follow us there so that you're notified when we go live so you can be part of the conversation, just like Cognitive Clips is, just like McGuddy Mate 13 is, just like Rabbit 128 is. McGuddy Mate, welcome back. McGuddy Mate says, hello. I don't know if you remember, but I joined that one time y'all played Tilu 2. I do remember. And that's a great little segue to my next point in our little housekeeping notes. Tomorrow night, we're back for more Last of Us Part 2 with Rose on the Sticks at 8 p.m. on twitch.tv/Spotlight Games Pod. So if you're listening to this on podcast services, check out the VODs on YouTube. However, I say that, but if you were with us live last week,
sure,
you'll know I'm having some issues with my PlayStation 5. It's an HDMI port issue. It's like the PlayStation 5 is working now on the television. I start to have troubles when I bring it to the PC to capture it on the PC. So, in the event that it doesn't cooperate tomorrow, right now, the plan is all of our energy is saying we're going to continue our Last of Us Part 2 run. We're in day one in Seattle. We're having a great time. We've been away a few weeks now from The Last of Us because Rose was out of town 2 weeks ago. She's back, and then this is happening. But let's say it all goes poorly again. Tomorrow, it's 8 o'clock. I'm getting no signal from the capture card. We're going to be playing Stardew Valley's 1.6 update on a shiny new farm location, brand new farm. It's like in the woods when you get chickens now in this new farm. It's like blue grass. It sounds pretty fun. I've never really played Stardew.
So is she going to teach you? Like you've been teaching her
Exactly.
I love this.
This will be I think I will be on the mouse and keyboard and she will be teaching me how to play Stardew Valley. So either way, it's a win-win tomorrow night. We're going to be here 8 p.m. Eastern time on twitch.tv/Spotlight GamesPod. So again, follow us so that you know when we go live tomorrow night, regardless of what we're playing. And finally, join the Discord. We have a fun little Discord where we discuss what we're playing and generally goof off together about video games. So if that sounds like something you'd like, click the link in the description, click the link in our bios, join the Discord. I think we just went to ads. So if you're gone, that's too bad. But if you're here, you're here. Cayman, I say those fuckers need to subscribe. Otherwise, we're not waiting to continue the show until they get back. We're going to continue with how we always start our shows here at Spotlight Games with what we've been playing. Doggy Dog, what you been playing?
Patrick, I got a couple things.
Yeah.
I'm going to start with a smaller game I've been playing, and then I'm going to move on if it's all right with you.
Hey, it's all right with me.
Because I got a bone to pick with a major franchise, but I don't want to get to that yet. I want to talk about this little indie game that's currently up on PlayStation Plus right now. You can play it if you're part of PlayStation Plus, the standard edition package. I think got to go up to extra to be able to get that catalog. Yeah. This little game called I Am Dead. It's a little indie puzzle game. And as you know me, if you've watched long enough to know, I'm dumb as a box of rocks, and I'm not good at puzzle games. This game is made for two audiences. It's made for people like me, who are dumb as a box of rocks, and you can enjoy this great story about a guy who's dead. You are the main character, and you are dead. And you find out that the island that you lived on, it's like a little fishing village island thing. You realize that the volcano on the island is about to erupt, and it's up to you to try to find someone who can step up to the plate and take control and prevent the volcano from erupting. And so what it is, this is a very unique gameplay mechanic in which you, because you're dead, have the ability to manipulate items and go through, zoom into items and zoom out. It's a really interesting little mechanic I've never really seen in a game before. And it's just a really delightful game. You get to learn about a bunch of these citizens that lived on this island that have passed before you. You get to see what their lives were like, the history of them. You get to learn a lot about these characters. It's really, really interesting. And it never one point while doing the main campaign did I ever feel like I was too dumb to enjoy it. And that made me feel good. But this game is also made for people who are a lot smarter than me. And I think this is where the mechanic of the game is really interesting, or more so how they build out, because I platinum the game. And for the most part, most of the trophies are pretty simple. Some of them I had to look up a guide on how to find one thing that I was missing because I just couldn't figure out where it was located. But they have these things that are riddles where they're timed, and they just give you a very generic sounding clue. And you have to figure out on this whole map, each level, what item it is and where it's located. And you're not given any hints outside of this, just very vague, riddle of sorts of what this thing is, right? And so I did have to use a guide to get that, because some of them I knew, some of them I was smart enough to figure out, but most of them I was like, there's no fucking way for me to do this. However, what I gotta say is, honestly, super fun game. If you especially the fact that you can pick it up technically not for free, but as part of PlayStation Extra, You can play it right now. It's a great game to play on the Portal of like just handheld mode, so the Switch, Steam Deck, stuff like that. Super fun to play there because it's so small. It's not very taxing in terms of graphics or really anything else. So I think it's like a really nice experience there. That was my Platinum 71, my 71st Platinum. And if you want to see like more in depth, like my feelings about certain mechanics and like what I felt about the actual Platinum run, like go to the Discord. We post there before we typically record. You'll see some of my Platinum reviews there. So if you haven't, go there. Please do that. Now, Patrick.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Can I just say, this game looks fucking great.
It is really cool.
Annapurna Interactive, released in 2021. Here's what I gotta say. I got a bone to pick with. I don't even know who. It's not you, Cayman, because you're bringing this game to me right now. But I got a bone to pick with whoever the fuck didn't tell me about this game before. Because this looks like a Patrick-ass Patrick.
It is a Patrick-ass Patrick game.
I cannot wait to play this game, so much so that while I'm on the podcast or while I'm doing this podcast, I got the PS app up on my phone and I'm downloading to console.
Yeah.
This looks great.
Cayman. I'm telling you, dude, it is so much fun. It's super cute. It's like, I think story-wise, it reminds me a lot of like What Remains of Edith Finch.
Yeah.
Except way less depressing.
Sure. Which
is way, yeah. So which is that was my opinion, right? Was like, well, I'm not sadder after finishing this game.
Yeah.
Which is good. I really don't need that extra sadness in my life right now. So yeah, I think it's really interesting. It's very much like I said, Patrick game. I think you dig it. And an audience like I said, look, recommend it. I gave it a 4 out of 5. Golden Shovels. I think it's a great game. Definitely should check out. You know what's not a great game? Patrick?
Oh boy, here we go.
Assassin's Creed Mirage.
Tell me about it.
So
all the ways I'm wrong.
So Assassin's Creed Mirage is very interesting. This is what I liked. I had this like epiphany on it where I was like, Assassin's Creed Mirage. It's a really telling title, Mirage, because that's what this game is. They pitch it as this like return to form. This is what Assassin's Creed is, and then you get in it and you're like, Assassin's Creed Mirage kind of stinks a little bit. It's not a bad game. It is just just a good game, you know? And I think my biggest problem with it is that while yes, I do feel like it is it goes back to what the original games were like, I don't necessarily think that's a good thing.
Okay.
I think the reason that the franchise has moved in the direction it was is because the formula itself of what Assassin's Creed is stale. Right?
Sure.
Like I love like the things I loved about the game. I think that it is one of the best looking Assassin's Creed games. I love the architecture and the design of the game. I think is really clever. I love being in Baghdad. I think it was just really cool. My issues with the game is mainly just in the combat itself. And the traversal, like I was having a lot of issues with it just being very sticky.
Yeah.
And that was really getting on my nerves. But I really think my biggest issue here with Assassin's Creed Mirage is that it's just boring now. Like the reason that we had these certain mechanics, we had these like level, you get weapons and level up your weapons, and there's skill, like you have like leveling progression systems, and you have like a different type of combat. It was for a reason, and I don't think we knew that, or I personally didn't know that until I played this. Where I still think the series highlight is on the best of both worlds is Origins. I think Origins was like the perfect size map. I think it was starting to introduce the ability to have like new weapons and weapon mechanics so you could play how you wanted to. And also I think the other issue is like I don't think we've had a likable protagonist since Origins. One might say Odyssey, and I'll give them credit where credit's due. Whether you went with male or female,
Cassandra was great. Yeah, I heard Alexios was a wet blanket though.
He wasn't great. I did my run as Alexios, but like ultimately they're not terrible. But like whoever the fuck the character. See, I don't even know who the character's name was in Valhalla because I was so overwhelmed with everything.
Eivor, I think Eivor. I didn't like Eivor. Yeah,
not a big fan. But Basm is the wettest of blankets. This blanket's been sitting out in a monsoon for days now.
Yeah,
I had zero connection whatsoever with Basm. I thought Basm was absolutely annoying. He was just whiny the whole time. And then the big payoff at the end doesn't work. There's no, it's just, I don't like it. And then I think my problem is like, there is a really good Assassin's Creed game somewhere.
sure.
By going to such extremes, by like removing a lot of what people are now used to with Assassin's Creed on paper doesn't sound terrible, but like in reality, it's just not that entertaining. And I think that's my biggest problem with Mirage is that it was kind of boring. It took me 25 hours to get the platinum. The platinum itself was fine. It wasn't anything to write home about. I think the big thing here is that it's essentially the Ubisoft formula for a platinum. You get a couple combat challenges and you have to
Sure.
collect everything. The good news is the map is significantly smaller. So collecting everything wasn't a chore, which was nice, but something like I Am Dead, I thought had a really, really good platinum because it made you do things in the game that you weren't going to do during the story. And it wasn't difficulty related. It wasn't anything like that. It was just like, hey, play the game, but do this other little stuff too, because we want you to experience that. Whereas like Mirage was just like, look, if I just finished the story, and I probably could in about 10 hours, 10 to 12 hours, I could have finished the story. It wouldn't have mattered. Most of my encounters at a certain point was like, oh no, I accidentally got caught because the stealth mechanics can be a bit finicky. So I'm just going to use a blow dart on everybody and then just put them all to sleep. And then I'm just going to stab them all while they lay on the ground. And I'm sorry, but that is not a good gameplay mechanic.
Sure. No, you're right.
So that is my opinion on Assassin's Creed Mirage. Like, if you like Assassin's Creed, especially the older games, you probably will find some enjoyment here. But ultimately, you could pass and be just fine.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Did you at least enjoy Jore Agdashlu, I think is how you say it, her performance, the one from The Expanse?
Oh, yeah.
And,
when
as
she was
the
on,
like master assassin.
When she's on screen, she's the she is the scene stealer.
Yeah, her voice, man.
Yeah, dude, I love it. It reminds me of a mezcal margarita.
It does. It really does.
Like the personified. When she's on, but the thing is she's not on screen that much.
Yeah, she's not.
And so, and I got by the end of the game, I literally was kind of like just trying to get through dialogue because I was like, I really don't care. I really don't care. None of this game has me interested in literally anything. And knowing that it ties so directly into the end of Valhalla, I don't really know, like, if you could enjoy picking this game up without beating Valhalla, which is like 100-hour long game.
Yeah, I will say, when I played Mirage, as I've mentioned before, whether it's in the Discord or potentially on the show, had COVID while I played Mirage. So it was all a fever dream, just like Mirage. But I remember finishing Mirage and texting you and be like, I'm confused about something. And you're like, oh, you don't remember this massive piece of lore from Valhalla? I was like, I certainly don't.
Yeah. So, that's just where the opinions lie, at least for me.
No, that's fair. I think I gave it a little more grace just because of how much I like the older Assassin's Creed games, and it felt good to have that kind of like nostalgia situation. But I think ultimately you're more right that like there's still a lot wrong with this game. And I'm interested to see what the next Assassin's Creed looks like on a smaller scale, to see like, can they tweak some of this and make it feel better? Or is it just kind of like out of time?
I think if there's a solution, and they kind of do it, but only on the major missions in Mirage, is where like you can approach the mission from a few different angles, which gives it almost a little bit of a Hitman vibe to it, where it's like, hey, you can tackle this objective in however you want, but that's not how Mirage works. You can tackle the objective in like 3 ways, and you're kind of limited there. That's all you can do. Where with like Hitman, I feel like they literally just are like, fuck it, go have fun, do whatever the hell you want and see what happens. I love that. So I think for the next Assassin's Creed, for it to work, I think that's what they're going to have to lean into, is giving more freedom to the player to try to assassinate people however they want.
Yeah.
So
for sure. No, I think you're right. If they could make Assassin's Creed feel like Hitman. Oh God, give me that.
Yeah.
Also, we got the chat is going wild right now.
Woo!
Cole House Jr. has joined. Welcome, Cole House. Also, Handsome Tony in the chat. But
Handsome tone.
Terry says this is a Valhalla tie-in. Now I'm never going to play it. So yeah, Basim is a character in Valhalla. He's a bit of like an antagonistic character in Valhalla. For don't want to spoil too much per se. Not that it's you wouldn't be missing much if there wasn't, like, if that was spoiled for you, but this game you play as Basim before he comes into the world of Valhalla, back in Baghdad. So it's connected very loosely. It's really just like this character is also in Valhalla. There's some stuff toward the end of the game that they reference that is a lot bigger in Valhalla in the DLC of Valhalla. But yeah, I wouldn't necessarily say it's a tie-in, but they are connected for sure. So yeah. I'm glad you finally played it, even though you didn't have that great of a time.
Well, good news is I only paid like $20 for it
Exactly.
because it was on
See,
sale. So like,
it's
I
better than that.
mean, look, for $20, 25 hours worth of gameplay.
Yeah.
Like, I don't necessarily feel terrible about that.
Yeah.
I could have felt a lot worse.
For sure. Something I've been playing that I also didn't pay full price for because it's in early access right now is Nightingale. This is a game that I hadn't heard of until we did our fantasy critic draft with, in the chat, Cognitive Clips, and also the girls from JK Games. I believe Kayla drafted Nightingale, if I'm not mistaken. Jordan, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. But we pulled up Nightingale on stream and I was like, oh my God, this looks really cool. And then it's out now in early access. So I've been playing that. So I have very early impressions in Nightingale. If you don't know Nightingale, I pulled up some B-roll for you if you're watching. It's a survival game, and it has a really cool looking setting, and it has a really cool mechanic in that something that sets it apart from other survival games. Sidebar, I don't play a lot of survival games. Honestly, Pal World was one of the first ones that I really fucked around with. Like, I've dabbled, but survival games are just not something that I've ever been drawn to. But something that's really interesting about this game is there are these different biomes, and the way that it works is there's this card system. And I fear you're some people listening might already be like, fucking cards, really? It's not a card deck builder. It's not anything like that, but you can earn cards from the world. They can be drops. They can be things that you find in chests, and they can essentially like change the world in certain ways. It might give you like a bit of like a power difference. Like, one of the cards that I've activated right now makes me faster and I can jump higher. But then with these cards, there's also biome cards, and you can, when you're in a biome and, like, let's say you finish all the objectives in that biome, you can go to a new one. You can combine certain cards to make like a new procedurally generated biome. It might be like a desert with certain types of enemies, or it might be a swamp, or it might be a forest. All these kind of different things seem to be able to change. The part that I'm in the game, I like what we're seeing right now on screen. I'm seeing none of this. Like, it's so basic where I am so far. I'm like in the woods. I barely have anything built. Like, this looks like a completely different game, what's on the screen right now. But I'm interested so far. Like, I'm having a good time. About 3 hours in. I like the aesthetic of it. I think the character models are maybe some of the ugliest that I've ever seen in video games. But there's this also cool thing where when you're creating your character, you can also create your entire family tree up to like your great grandparents, I think. And like some of their traits can like influence your character, which I think is like a fun little thing. I don't know if like in this game you can eventually have children and like play as them. It might just be like a gimmick for the character builder. But it's cool. Like, I'm enjoying my time with it. It's a bit early accessy. Like, there's some clunkiness I'm experiencing. There's some frame rate issues I'm experiencing, but nothing that's like drawing me out too much. And all of it's there seems to be this like lore, like Earth seems to be in this universe, but like I don't think we're on Earth. I don't really know like what's happening there. Like, I'm a little interested in the narrative, but since it's a survival game, there doesn't seem to be a whole lot of it yet. It's more the like I'm getting little pieces here and there, and it's really I'm just in the stage of like learning how to survive, how to build stuff, learning the mechanics, things like that. I didn't even know there were guns. I'm seeing guns on the screen now.
So here's the thing. So I've watched some video of this, and I'm curious because you're mentioning that it seems very basic, and then you see this trailer, because that's the thing, right? I've been watching, like, when the trailers were first coming out. I think this was announced at maybe Game Awards a couple years ago, and it looks so cool. And
Yeah.
it was like, holy shit, this game is gorgeous. This is all in. There's no way. And then people are like, I'm playing this game, and it's like, this game is ugly first, and also this is not what it looked like in the trailers, like, at
Yeah.
all.
Yeah. Parts of it can be really breathtaking. Like it can
Okay.
be really nice to look at. But then there are other times where I'm like, and I think it actually weirdly, maybe not weirdly, goes back to Starfield, where it's like
Mm,
the planets being procedurally generated. There can be those like little pockets of like really cool looking stuff. But when
sure.
it's all being made by code on the fly, it's like sometimes it's not going to look like the most visually appealing. So it's like some of it has been cool. Like everything that I've seen in this trailer so far has looked better than anything that I've seen in the game so far. And that's a bummer. And I'm,
Yeah.
maybe 5 more hours, I'll start seeing more. But so far, while I am having a good time, if I were to guess, if I were to make a bet on how much more I play this game, maybe 3 more hours. Now, in those 3 hours, if it can really draw me in and I can see like some of what this trailer's showing me, I'll keep playing, but I don't know that we're going to get there. And that's a bummer to me.
So, okay, so first question I have about this early access part is, one, do we know when the official launch is, or is this just a it's ready when it's ready ordeal?
I don't know. I'll look that up while you ask your. Did you say you have two questions?
I do. And then the second question is this a paid for early access? Because there are instances in which I've seen games where it's like you're gonna pay $20 to get early access to this game, and is it, or is it this like a, hey, you're essentially playing the bare bones version of this, and like this might be what the game looks like in 3 years when the official launch is?
So it is a paid early access.
Okay.
It was $30,
Okay.
and that it feels fair to be
Okay.
honest. Like especially if you're a survival fan. I bet there's a lot here for the survival fan genre,
Mm,
the survival genre fan. Um, as previously said, since I'm not really a part of that fan base, there's just a lot that's still to be desired here, but it does seem like a
sure.
pretty full experience.
Mhm.
If I remember correctly, I'm not seeing this in my quick Google search, but I feel like they said the plan was a year of early access, and in that time they'd
Mm,
be tweaking certain things, and there might be all sorts of new shit by the time the full
sure.
release comes out. But it seems like because it's paid, this is probably like if they didn't add anything to it, I feel like this would probably be an acceptable $30 experience, I would think. And it being $30 kind of, and obviously it being early access, I give it some grace in terms of
Sure.
the performance and things like that. But I feel like for me, if I'm listening to this podcast and I really like the survival genre, like I know John listening, he liked Power World a lot. I don't know how
Mhm.
you feel about other survival games. You might want to try this, but you might also want to wait 6 months, 8 months
Sure.
to see like where this game goes. Does it have legs? Because there's also that fear, right? Of like,
Mhm.
okay, I spent $30. Times are tight for everybody. A lot of shit is being canceled in terms of video games. A lot of companies are doing these mass layoffs, things that we've covered on the show. There's a world that in 12 months this game doesn't exist. Like in all fairness, so maybe you wait and see. Like that's kind of up to you. But I think as a new PC player, I am cautious about these paid early access games, but it does seem to at least come with some quality based on some other free early access games that I've played. Where I'm like, oh wow, this is like really fucking early access.
For sure. For sure.
Tony makes a good point. Main problem with early access is that after a few months, the game changes so much that your old saves won't even work. Well, that wouldn't be very good. I wouldn't like that very much.
Yeah, I know that I want to say that was a thing that happened in I want to say it was The Forest, and then Sons of the Forest had the same situation occur,
Damn. Well,
where that was where it was like they would release these big updates, Be like, here's this massive update with all this new stuff. By the way, we wiped all of your progress because you can't be where you are when this is where it's coming at. So that kind of stinks. But I mean, I guess the good news is like, I don't know. I mean, I feel like the people who like these types of games are content with being like, I will start from scratch. If I like this game enough, I will start from scratch again.
Yeah.
I am not that human being.
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. I'm a bit speechless right now, Cayman. I'll tell you why. We got a little gifted sub in the chat. Tyler M. Goebel gifted a sub to Sydney Farty. How about that? Welcome to the show. Glad you're here, Tyler M. Goebel. Don't know how you found us, but we're happy to have you. Cayman, I think it's time to move to topic of the show.
Topic of the show.
Topic of the show. It's March, as I said at the top of the show.
Sure.
March Madness is a thing, at least here in the United States. It's a college basketball tournament. I don't really care about college basketball, but sports are fun, right, Cayman? Sports games are fun. We don't play them a lot anymore, but we used to play
We
them a
will
lot.
be, Patrick. I will be playing so much college. What is it now? It's EA's College Football 225.
Oh, yeah.
I'll be playing
Oh,
so
yeah.
much of that.
And so what we're doing here today, folks, is we're going to make a little list together, a little top 10 best sports games of all time came in. And this is the way this is going to work. If you weren't here months ago at this point, I don't even remember when we did that one, when we did top 10 games of our childhood. We're going to start it out. We're just going to throw games on the board. What are the games that speak to us? What are our favorite sports games? Our audience's favorite sports game? I tell you what, Cayman. This topic got people excited. I've never had this many submissions outside of when we did the top 100 from our audience before. I got like 15 submissions.
Wow. So you got more submissions that weren't Barbie supermodel.
Exactly. Now, did we get a submission including a Barbie sports game? You bet your ass we did. But we're gonna
was it Barbie Equestrian? Please tell me.
It was not. It was we can just get there right now. It was Barbie Super Sports, which is regretfully a game I have not played. But yeah, so we're going to throw games on the board, and then we're going to eventually come up with the definitive, you heard me, the definitive top 10 list of best sports games of all time. You in the chat, even if you didn't submit into our Instagram poll, you can submit in the chat, and we're going to talk about them here. Don't let your voice be silenced. In fact, speak up, help guide the conversation. Cayman, I'd love if you would start us off with a game that you think should be in the conversation for best sports game of all time.
So I'm going late childhood,
okay,
more like early teens.
Okay.
I was in high school. So I'm going with my number 10 pick on my list, which is Wii Sports.
Oh, I mean, come on.
Here's the thing. It has to be there.
Here's the thing. I don't want to speak too soon. I don't want to start off by saying this is a lock because there's a lot of sports games. But like Wii Sports is kind of a lock.
I mean, you would kind of imagine. Here's the thing. Wii Resort, get the fuck out.
Get the fuck out. Wii Sports Resort.
Go.
Not a fun game.
You fucking suck. I don't want to do whatever that game was where you had to stand on top of that thing and hit each other with foam swords until someone fell off. That was boring.
Terrible game. Man, what a waste of money Wii Sports Resort was. I remember I got it day one and I played it maybe 3 times.
Wii Sports fucking rules.
Wii Sports, though, maybe the most time I've ever put into any video game.
That is there. You know,
honestly, possible.
I'm pretty sure that I will have permanent rotator cuff damage later in life from the amount of bowling I did.
Oh, for sure.
You know,
that little
spin. that and it's all shoulder work to get the right spin. You know,
you go all the way to the right, you click back left 1.
Yes. And then you put the most. Here's the problem: is that same philosophy, though, I thought was like this is what you have to do with when you're playing Switch sports.
Yeah,
absolutely not the case. Apparently, the Joy-Con has way more sensitivity.
Really,
the Wiimote, because I would do it, and that motherfucker would just be in the other gutter.
In the other gutter,
even made it halfway down the alley. Be like, or lane or whatever it's called. I don't bowl.
That's hilarious. Next up, I'm going to throw a name out here, but I'm also bringing it in from the audience. This was the game that I think got the most submissions from our audience, which is, it's going to shock you, Cayman. But the thing is, I think we have our second lock, and I will
Okay.
be shocked if you don't agree. And that's backyard baseball.
That backyard baseball is
We had
currently
like
my
4 different
number
submissions.
6.
Hell
My
yeah.
number 6 is backyard baseball. So yeah, I'll do Pablo.
Pablo
Bruh.
Sanchez, come on, bro.
Bruh.
Come on. Pete Wheeler, come on,
Pete
dude.
Wheeler, come on.
Yeah, backyard baseball certainly in the conversation.
Absolutely.
I'm going to go to our chat live here now and
Let's
say,
do it.
John, if I knew how to time you out, I'd time you out. Parappa the Rapper, not a sports game. But above that, from to Handsome Tony Thomas, NBA Street. Now, my question to you, Tony, is would you say NBA Street Volume 1 or Volume 2? Because I think Volume 2 is the consensus.
Yes. It's always yes.
Volume 2 all the way. Okay, great. NBA Street Volume 2. Great. So certainly a contender. I'll say that. Certainly a contender. Cayman, what's another one on your list?
I've got another street game, and I'm going with NFL Street.
Ooh, okay. I can fuck with NFL
And
Street.
I'm going with NFL Street 1, not NFL Street 2.
Okay. What was it about 1 that was better than 2 that you remember?
I just feel like I feel like 1 hit the perfect mark where you know how sometimes games when they get a sequel, they're like, we're gonna try to do way more than we should, and we don't have the capability to make it work. Like sometimes it's just better to keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah, for
right?
sure.
NFL Street 2, that's where I felt like they tried to like make it a little too fancy, a little too something. It didn't click for me. NFL Street 1 though. Also banging soundtrack for both NFL Street and NBA Street. Oh, that incredible soundtrack.
For sure. You know, I actually, now that you say all that, I remember thinking the same thing. I remember playing NBA Street Volume 2 and being like, this is just a bit too much. A bit too much.
Yeah.
Look at that. Something I never would have thought of myself, but with you by my side, I can think of anything. Next one I'm going to bring in. It's another one that also came from the audience, but it's on my list too. And that's the original Cayman.
Yes.
Mario Golf.
Okay.
We're talking N64 Mario Golf.
Okay.
Some people out here might be like, oh, but Patrick, what about Toadstool Tour? Oh, Patrick, what about Mario Golf Super Rush on the Nintendo Switch? Did you play Mario Golf 64? Did you play Putt Putt on Mario Golf 64? It doesn't sound like you did, is what I say to that. Mario Golf 64 being submitted for your consideration.
For your consideration.
Exactly.
Patrick, I want to drop a hot one real fast.
Let's drop it.
I like dropping a hot one real fast. And this will come back up on my list later.
Okay.
But I'm going to go with Blitz the League.
Okay.
Specifically because I want to talk about the fact that it's outside of Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat ripped this shit off, by the way.
Oh, for sure.
Well, technically, Midway, it's fine. It's fine. I'll let Mortal Kombat have it. But the fact that you could just literally break every single one of your opponent's bones and their bodies on every player, and then you could just take your player and inject them full of steroids and say, get back out there, champ. That's how real NFL is. Okay.
That is true. That is true.
You can't tell me that the reason Tua Tagovailoa, the reason that this man played so many games with his head caved in wasn't because they were just injecting him full of drugs.
Yeah, I mean, that is true. That is true. Some say that that's the most realistic iteration of a sport game ever.
Yes.
Here's my rebuttal to that. I think everything you said is true, and I think Blitz the League should be in consideration. But do we not think that NFL Blitz 2001 was a better game?
You know, I actually went with NFL Blitz 97.
Okay.
I was a 97 guy. Brett Favre in the backfield.
Sure.
You just run all the time.
Yeah. I feel like we can just say NFL Blitz.
We can just say NFL Blitz.
Yeah. In case we don't want to do the Lawrence Taylor version with broken ribs and steroids.
Yeah, with the cheerleaders that were strippers on the sidelines. I mean, come on, man.
Yeah. Just in case.
I think it's important to also note that like Blitz the League can never be made again.
That is absolutely true.
The NFL would try so hard to shut it down. And the fact was, Blitz the League didn't even have NFL teams. There was no NFL teams in Blitz the League. They were all fake teams. The way the story goes, this is what I heard actually, was the way the story goes is there was Blitz the League 2. And then they were threatened so harshly by the NFL that they were like, we can't keep making these games.
Whoa.
Like, because they were like, and I don't know if you know this either. This is another thing that's insane. And just a fun fact for the audience is that in Madden games now, there's certain injuries you can no longer get.
Really?
Mm-hmm. They have basically told them, like, you can't give players these injuries because you're making NFL seem more dangerous than we want it to seem.
Don't tell me you can't get a concussion in Madden.
I think you can still get concussions,
Okay,
but I
because
don't
that'd
think
be ridiculous.
a part of me wants to say it's like really difficult. Like, it's one of those that happens super rare.
Yeah.
But they've also like dropped the amount of like injuries you can get,
Sure.
which is like the NFL.
Cowards.
They know.
That's the big lie.
They know that we know that they are just injecting steroids directly into people's brains on the sideline to keep them playing.
Correct. It's honestly, it's embarrassing. Here's another one. This one was another multiple submission and would be in my list, I think, as well. It's a game that I played recently at an arcade for the first time in a very long time. That's NBA Jam.
Ooh, that's on my list. Number 4, NBA Jam.
Yeah. I mean, come on, from downtown, playing as Bill Clinton with a big head. Come on.
Yeah, man. Like, do you remember you could unlock, this was another one that was like, it was in, I want to say that this is another fun fact from Cayman.
Oh.
The original arcade, you could get Sub-Zero and Scorpion.
Whoa,
And actually have them as a team. But for the console version, they were like, I think it was the NBA specifically, was like, we don't want these violent video game characters to be in this game.
How
like,
about
we
that?
can't. So you can't get them in console, but you can get them on the arcade.
Okay. I had no idea. That's really fascinating to me.
Just some fun facts from Cayman.
I love the segment Fun Facts from Cayman. Fun Facts from Cayman. Cayman, another game that I think is worth discussing. Now, is it going to make the list? We'll find out. My gut says no, but it was submitted, and it was something that I thought of too. Another N64 game. This was submitted by Mondo. Ready to Rumble. Did you ever play Ready to Rumble?
You know what? I actually had a friend of mine growing up who had a Dreamcast.
Okay,
Patrick, we played it on the Dreamcast. I remember he had unlocked Michael Jackson. So
I don't remember
problematic. Maybe.
Probably.
Yeah. I see also up there, Patrick, SSX3. We didn't talk about it.
Yes, you're right. I skipped that. So in the chat, thank you for saying that, because I forgot. That was going to be the next thing I talked about, and then we talked so long that I forgot. Cole House Jr. in the chat says, "Wait, LMA, would SSX tricky count? Snowboarding is a sport. Absolutely counts." And I changed the submission to SSX3 because I think it's better than tricky. Personally, it's later in the franchise. Do you disagree, Cayman?
Can you still? I never played SSX3, but can you play as the panda?
I don't remember. But for the sake of this conversation, you absolutely can.
Then yes, it definitely belongs on this list.
Definitely belongs on the list. Also, Mondo, he sent in so many, and so many of them have already been. His list was basically like most of what we've already talked about. But one that he submitted that we haven't talked about, and again, since I'm the one on the keyboard, I'm gonna alter a little bit. He says Fight Night Round 2. I think Fight Night Round 3 was the standout of the franchise. So I'm going to say Fight Night Round 3, adding that into the conversation. Is it going to make the top 10? Probably not, but it's worth discussing, I think.
I kind of love this idea. We're talking about Fight Night. I kind of love this idea that somewhere someone believes that Def Jam Fight for New York is a sports game.
I mean, are we saying this is a great segue into a couple fringe games? I think. Are we saying wrestling is a sport?
Okay, well, if we're saying wrestling is a sport, then WWF No Mercy.
I mean,
is like the greatest wrestling game of all time.
Now, wrestling of a different kind is an Olympic sport.
That's true.
So it has the same name, Cayman. You see what I'm saying? So I feel like wrestling. WWF No Mercy, I'm happy to put on the list.
Hold on. Do you remember there was this game back in the day, Patrick? It was called like Rose Rumble. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Let's do it.
Well, this is like Rose Rumble. I'm just pulling words here from my head. I want to say it's called Rose Rumble. and it was
There's Rumble Roses.
Rumble, and Rumble Roses might be. Was it like it was either late PS2, early PS3?
Yeah, that's what it looks like in the
And let me tell you, yes.
Yeah, this might get us banned on Twitch.
Well, I don't know. Have you seen some of the Twitch content lately?
That's true. That's
we're
true.
Totally fine. This game, I distinctly remember my cousin picked it up from Blockbuster, and he had like very little parental supervision. And I remember his dad walked in on us playing this game. And his dad was just like, eject it. We're taking it back right now. Because my young brain couldn't comprehend the concept of jiggle physics at this point in my life.
I get it.
That might be the point where I got ruined as a human.
I get it. Here, Cayman, look, we're talking fringe games. And I feel like Def Jam Fight for New York is at least worth considering because it's both boxing and it's both wrestling, which we're saying are both sports in this conversation. And then, so I'm going to say Fight for New York for now, just for the sake of space. And then we have another submission from the chat, which was also a submission in Instagram. Mm-hmm. If you don't follow us on Instagram, you should, at Spotlight GameSpot on Instagram. Whenever we do these kinds of episodes, we send out the little prompt ahead of time. You can get a part of the show in advance. But Sydney Alfredo, she's in the chat. She says Barbie Super Sports on the PS1 or bust. Here's the thing, Cayman.
I know it's a thing.
For OG Spotlight Games participants, for those that were there at Ground Zero, the time that we decided the 10 best games of our childhood, they'll remember the Barbie supermodel debacle. I've tried to cut that into a clip 35 times, but there's just so much of it. I could never get the clip below like 6 minutes.
It really is just 6 minutes of pure chaos in the most unadulterated, unfiltered way.
At some point, it needs to become a clip. And one day I'll be brave enough to do it, but I haven't yet.
I don't think the world's ready, or the people who weren't on that live video at the time, I don't think anyone else is ready to experience.
They might not be, but here's the thing. That day, that fateful day, I was on the front lines fighting for Barbie Supermodel, a game that I still think deserves much more attention than it's getting. I've never played Barbie Super Sports on the PS1, and I'm willing to bet you haven't either, Cayman.
You know what? I have not.
So what the best I can do here, Cayman, is put it into consideration. And this also reminds me that I didn't say a key part of this kind of episode, which is for this top 10 list, I'm going to get a lock. Cayman's going to get a lock. The chat's going to get a lock. That means 3 of these 10, each of us has complete control over. Now, there will be a little bit of discussing where on the list it lands, but we can sway that conversation as our lock a little bit. Now, if the chat says Barbie Super Sports is the consensus number 1, we'll see. But if the chat says Barbie Super Sports is the consensus pick from the chat, I can't stop it. At the very least, it has to be number 10. So chat, start figuring out what's going to be your lock. And Sydney says, oh my God, how did I miss the Barbie debacle? Do you remember which episode it was? I do. It is the top 10 games from our childhood episode. It is this exact same format, and it's fucking off the rails. This is an advertisement to go watch that episode.
Can I just say that I did find a used copy?
Yeah.
Of Barbie Super Sports on the PlayStation 1.
Yeah.
For $7.94.
Ooh, what a steal.
I can get it to your house by April 2nd.
The thing is, I don't wait.
Wait.
Too.
Huh? Well,
you.
Oh no. Okay. Well, I'm not gonna derail the episode like I did that one time and couldn't talk for 5 minutes because I was laughing too hard at my own joke I made.
It's okay. It's okay. Yeah. I would welcome it. But so biggest things of note here to recap: Barbie Super Sports up on the list for consideration. Chat and Cayman and I are going to have a lock that we can lock in. But we still have some games that are not on this list yet that I'd be remiss if we didn't get them on this list. Games like Wayne Gretzky hockey on the N64, Cayman.
You know what? Here's the thing, Patrick. Unlike you, I didn't know that hockey was an actual sport until I was like 15.
Okay.
I thought it was made up. So never played a hockey game.
So I have complete control over the hockey games. Also, I want to be clear, these games aren't about to be on the list. I'm just running out of space here. NHL Hits, though, needs to be a part of the conversation.
I think like any sports game that you can assault another player
and add a Z to.
Yes. And so NFL Blitz, NHL Hits. I think NBA Jam was the closest thing we got to that in NBA.
Yeah.
But we did have MLB Sluggers
Ooh,
or Slugfest. No, MLB Slugfest.
Also the Bigs.
Ooh, the Bigs. Yeah, here's the thing though. In a MLB Slugfest, not very good.
Slugfest wasn't very good. The Bigs, though.
The Bigs was good.
A lot of the Bigs.
The Bigs was good. Yeah.
In fact, I think the Bigs should be at least mentioned.
I agree.
To be considered.
100%.
Cayman, I want to go back to the fringe conversation for a second.
Sure.
We've said wrestling counts. We've said boxing counts. Is racing a sport?
So, I think it is.
I think it is too.
I think it is. I think it is. I genuinely don't know if there's not, which obviously means Need for Speed Underground 2 has to be on the list.
Need for Speed Underground 2, I think, is a worthy choice. I also think...
I'm curious, yeah, what do you got?
Because, I mean, here's the thing. If we want to be, like, objective about this, if we're saying racing counts, like, Mario Kart 8 is the best sports game of all time.
Okay.
But I think it's also worth considering, like, OG Mario Kart. I mean, like, there's some Diddy Kong Racing. We don't want to get too off the rails here with racing games, because there could just be a whole racing list. If Gray is still in the chat,
Jesus,
we could do a whole Gran Turismo list.
We just give him the mic for 2.5 hours. He'll make his own list
about I keep wanting to say Grand Theft Auto, Gran Turismo. Yes,
Gran Turismo.
So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna say Mario Kart 8, Mario Kart 88. And I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to stop there at the kart racers.
Good. I think we should keep the theme of the 8s running, though. And I would like to nominate Madden 2008, specifically the Wii version.
Okay, Madden 2008 on the Wii. Okay,
what
about the Wii version spoke to you?
Here's why. So the Wii version, you actually could hold the Wiimote and chuck the ball. Like you were throwing a pass with the Wiimote.
Okay.
And that to me has never been replicated ever again.
Okay.
So like
that really stuck out to you.
It really did. I think it'd be, here's the thing. I think it'd be really cool if the next Madden game, because let's be honest, Madden games at this point are, I think even Madden fans are like, Madden games suck now.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
So I feel like they need to do something different. And one, bring back Blitz. Two, do a VR mode for Madden.
Whoa.
Let you be Patrick Mahomes and throw the ball.
That'd be pretty good.
You know how cool that'd be?
That'd be pretty fucking good.
It might make me move the needle on getting VR if I could, be a guy back there and not get CTE.
Anything's possible. Cayman, did you ever play a game?
Yeah.
This is going to be the last one from the racing genre, if I have anything to say about it.
Sure.
But have you ever heard of a game called Micro Machines?
No. What? What?
Micro Machines was submitted by my brother. Micro Machines was a game that we played so much. I think on the Sega. I don't remember exactly, but I just pulled up video of it on YouTube. And I'm going to share this real quick. This is what Micro Machines look like. And you were just these little
so the fat guy. You were all Walter. We all grew up to be Walter.
Micro Machines were also toys. Like there would be these small, like tiny, like the size of like a thumbnail, like cars and tanks and things. And this, it was like a racing game. There was boat races. I remember this level so vividly. It's like on like a picnic table with all the little. We played an ungodly amount of Micro Machines.
So funny.
Now, am I saying it should be on the list? No. But it's worth mentioning for any of the Micro Machines fans out there, because there are about 4 of them.
Were you ever part of the age bracket? There was this like racing game where you would go to Radio Shack and you could buy like the little cars, and I remember I had the Fast and the Furious, Too Fast, Too Furious car, like the set where like you had the orange Charger in the other car.
The purple spider.
Yes, and they were like little, and you could tune them, and you like change out their wheels and their suspension, all that. And then you would do it, and once you got the car, they had like a code you would put in on a website, and you could play online racing online. And we used to get to, and it wasn't barred at the
Whoa,
elementary
yes.
school that I went to,
That
and we
finally
could play
unlocked it.
And I have no fucking idea what the name of it is, and I can still have never been able to find out what this is. So
It's probably dead.
Someone in the audience, if you can figure out what the hell I'm talking about.
It was a flash game.
Yeah, it was like a flash game, and you could buy physical cars with little controllers, and you could drive them around. If you can figure out what it is, tell me, because I don't know the name.
Whatever this game is, if I'm thinking of the same game, because it was a Fast and Furious racer on like desktop browser. I played so much of that.
Yeah,
whatever
it was like really big in like 2003.
Whoa.
So if you need a time frame, there you go.
Holy shit. Yeah, that just unlocked something in me that I didn't ever think I was going to think about again. Okay, a few more submissions that came in from the chat that we have still not talked about. Super Mario Strikers. We're talking GameCube version, not the shitty Switch version. So I'm going to throw that in. We also got... this is one that I think is if we're doing any of the sim sports games, I think we should consider ESPN NFL 2K5. This was a submission from Jordan, and this I remembered so vividly. So when games back in the early aughts, for those that might be too young to remember, games were $50 then. Yeah, $49.99.
Oh man, I remember.
And I remember so vividly, it was just Madden, it was just NHL, it was just NBA Live for the longest time. And then there's this buzz on Game Informer. I go into a GameStop, I see on a Game Informer, ooh, what's this? That 2K was going to start making sports games. And they were in the year 2005, they released NBA, NFL, and NHL 2K5 all for $19.99. And the crazy thing was, NFL 2K5 was actually really fucking good. Yeah. It was officially sponsored by ESPN. And so when you would go through like the career mode, there would be like specialized Sports Center clips about all of the games. There would be highlights, like Chris Berman was doing his like 5-minute rundown of each week. When Jordan submitted this, and I was like, it unlocked that in me. I started looking it up. I was like, oh my God, I remember playing. And it also had a first person mode. That was like the first time you could play first person in a football game. I played so much NFL and NHL 2K5. I don't think I ever got NBA 2K5, but it was like, I remember going to my mom and being like, hey mom, I know me asking for 2 video games is absurd right now, but the thing is, it's 2 for less than the price of 1. We can get 2 for 40 instead of 1 for 50. She was like, let's go right now. So NFL 2K5, if we're doing any of the sim games, I think should be in strong consideration for that. Let's see. Last one from the chat. One that I'm actually surprised hadn't come up yet in any capacity is NFL or NCAA.
I've got NCAA 2014. Yeah,
2K14.
The last one. It was the best one, the last one in the series. But guess what's coming back, baby?
It is
not NCAA football, but
so I'm doing a quick little scroll of the ones that I jotted down. You know what? Let's also throw in at a last little minute here. I think it'll probably end up not making the cut, but I think the best FIFA game is FIFA 13.
Okay.
Let's throw that on the list.
Okay.
And then I think also we should consider where did it go? Ken Griffey Jr. baseball.
Okay. That's my number 1 is Ken Griffey Jr. Baseball. And number 2 was Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3.
Oh shit. We don't have Tony Hawk on here yet. That's
if SSX 3 is on here and Need for Speed Underground 2 is on here, then Tony Hawk Pro Skater.
For sure.
I've always been an advocate for 3. I know most people will say 2, but those people are wrong.
For sure.
It's okay to be wrong. I do have one, Patrick, if you don't mind. I have one honorable mention.
Please.
And that goes to NBA Live 13.
Okay.
Also, Rocket League. NBA Live 13. There's a really funny story about this game. I don't know if you know this, Patrick. Another fun fact with Cayman moment.
Is this the one that never came out?
It was sent to reviewers. There were physical copies of this game. And then they canceled it the week before it's supposed to come out.
Because the feedback was so bad.
Reviews were dropping for the game. And the game never shipped. Apparently, the way the story goes,
the way the legend goes.
I want to say it was Greg Miller talked about it one time about maybe it was Greg, it was someone or Dan Stapleton or someone was like, had a physical copy of the game. And EA reaches out and goes, here's the thing. This game is now canceled. And we are sending basically a cease and desist. You have to destroy the copy of the game. No copies can exist of this game.
God, I want that.
So they literally. So my thing is, there has to be somewhere out there a copy of NBA Live 13.
Has to be.
Just somewhere.
I wonder if it could be emulated by. I mean, if there was such little stock of it, probably not. The code probably wasn't able to be
pulled. Many games is like have released. Like that's the thing to me that blows my mind is like. There had to be like physical copies that were delivered to places like Walmart, you know?
Yeah. Oh, for
sure. It was so close to release time. And they were just like, you have to ship that box back. These are
crazy.
These are going into a ditch ET style.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fucking nuts. And then, yeah, I forgot someone in the chat earlier threw out Rocket League, and I forgot to throw it down, but I just remembered. So yeah, I think this is a good place to start. And, maybe some other games jump out to us because, we're already an hour in.
This is where the violence
begins. So I think that our first pass came in. Shirt's coming off. The first pass, I think, should be, what do we think is an easy cut? We've made our honorable mentions. We've given respect to some of these games, but is it going to make the list? No. And, if one of us disagrees, we can fight it out then. And if the chat disagrees, we can fight it out then. But I think we start going through and deleting some of these games that we don't think should be on it, such as Fight Night Round 3 as a start.
Sounds good.
It's a good game. I just don't think it's going to make the top 10.
Yeet that shit.
Yeet it. What's one that jumps out to you, Cam?
Def Jam 5 for New York. Love that we talked about it. Yeet it.
Respect to a king, but yeet it. I agree. Respect to a king, but I agree. I also, respect to Madden 2008 on the Wii, unless that's your lock. Okay, great. Madden on the Wii. Also, I think if depending on how many hockey games can make the cut, like I know a lot of people say Wayne Gretzky hockey is the greatest hockey game ever made. A lot of people say NHL 97, which isn't even on this list, is the greatest hockey game ever made. I think NHL Hits is the greatest hockey game ever made. So I'm willing to say we can yeet Wayne Gretzky hockey, even though I'm the one that put it here.
I'm going Need for Speed Underground 2. Yeet it.
We can yeet it. We can yeet it
out.
John says, why nuke Def Jam? I think.
Look, if audience
I'm sorry, we can give the answer.
The fringe games are going to be the ones that go first.
Well, to a degree, I think. But I think the reason that Def Jam, as much as I love it, and if it were doing like fighting game, it's going to be in the top 3 for me.
Yeah.
I think when like Need for Speed Underground is actually a great example, I think, to compare it to, in that while we are racing in the game isn't about the racing to a degree. It is, but it isn't. Like it's about the underground scene. It's about all these things. And Def Jam 5 for New York, it's the story of Sticky Fingers and the Snoop Dogg knockoff name because they don't name him Snoop Dogg in the game, and Fat Joe. Like there's like all this narrative. Not that narrative can't be in a sports game, but it's more about like it's less a sports game than anything else on the list.
But also, I do think it's important to note though, is that if we were to put something like a NASCAR game, whatever that is, like Daytona Speed, is that a NASCAR game? Maybe.
Probably.
We have no clue. Bullets. Oh shit! Shots are fired.
Because we got rid of Def Jam, Bulletstorm and The Last of Us are both dead to John. That's okay. Continue.
Yeah. So like, if it was a NASCAR, like I feel more comfortable having NASCAR as a proper sports game if I had to compare it to something like Need for Speed.
For sure. I think also respect to Ready to Rumble. I just don't think it's going to make the top 10.
I agree.
Great boxing game. I just don't think it's going to make it. How about we flip the script a little bit. Maybe let's pick a couple games that we think are gonna be locks. Let's kind of
For
put them in a
sure.
little pile over here.
Yeah.
Like NBA Jam, I think is pretty good. I
Wii
think
Sports.
Wii Sports is pretty good. King Griffey Jr. Baseball is your number one, so I think that's
Yeah,
got a pretty good
that's
shot.
if that will be my lock pick.
Backyard Baseball has a good chance. I think NBA Street has a really good chance.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I think Rocket League has a pretty good shot. Tony Hawk.
Yeah,
Um,
I think Blitz or NFL Blitz, I think is like a solid sports game that has a very good
yeah.
chance of
I,
making
I
the
think NHL Hits might not make it, but I want to put it in the list at
sure,
least
for
for
sure.
now.
I think
Um,
I think if we can yeet one out though, I think I would be comfortable with saying as much as I love WWF No Mercy.
I
I
think we could
just
beat that.
don't think it's gonna make the cut.
I also think we can probably, because we have Blitz, we have Hits. The Bigs, I think, is the weakest of the
I concur.
Rock'em Sock'em sports games. So I think we can kill the Bigs.
100% agree.
I think we can kill the League of Blitz
Yeah, we can kill the
because we got NFL Blitz.
I'm just happy I got the moment to make my joke
Of course.
about Tua's noggin.
Of course. So let's see. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
Oh
8,
shit.
9 games so far, and we think they're going to make the cut list. Not that, and again, there's going to be discussion in the rest of that list too. But of what's left over here, chat. There was some discussion about Barbie Super Sports being the chat pick, but then that chat went away. So I'm going to throw this down here in case you guys want to Sydney, rally the troops. If Barbie's going to be the pick, Barbie's going to be the pick. But so I'm going to put that there for now. I think if I had to choose between Mario Golf and Super Mario Strikers, I'm choosing Mario Golf personally.
Sure.
But do you disagree with that?
No. I think that I would take Mario Golf over Strikers. Yeah.
In terms of, so we have a few of the sim games left. I think we should pick one of these sim games to.
So yeah. So when I'm looking here at sim games, I'm not a soccer person, so I feel like I'm doing a disservice to FIFA. And I know it's a really big game. I've played so much NCAA football.
That's true.
Regardless of whether it was 2014 or literally all of them that came before it. Those are like Patrick, when you were saying it was like you get these games were $50 when we were kids.
Yeah.
And I would get from my grandparents, I would get $50 for my birthday every year.
Mm-hmm.
And it would be like a couple months after the game came out. So this was what I spent my birthday money on, was every year was getting an NCAA football. So with the new one coming out for the first time in a decade,
yeah,
my hype. This is like I'm so fucking hyped for it. I don't think I could sleep at night without making the case that NCAA football has to be one of the top sports games of all time.
You make a great case. And also, I played so much NCAA football. I also played a lot of NCAA basketball. I played
Wolverines. Were you, baby?
Oh yeah, I was such a big Wolverines fan back in the day. Mm-hmm. I think I quit before 14. I think the last one I played was probably like 2009-ish.
Sure.
But I have heard, and Nick in his write-in talked about how 14 was like the best of the franchise.
Oh, 100% the best. Yeah.
So I believe that.
Have you seen? So one of the weird things I've been doing in my depression is I've been watching people play NCAA 14.
Okay.
And they emulate it online now to the point that like there are full online leagues that you can be part of with, and it's updated to the point that there is a college football playoff system. They have like updated rosters every year of players that are like unlicensed rosters.
That's cool.
It is and I think that's a testament to like how big that series still is, even though there hasn't been a game in 10 years. People are still playing this game. It's wild to me.
Yeah, man, I'm so excited for. I don't know that I'll play the new NCAA game, but I'm really excited that it's coming back.
Yeah.
Okay, so the chat is chiming in.
Okay, what is the chat lock? Because I'm very nervous.
I don't know that we have the lock yet, but Sydney is making some great points. She says, "I'm just saying, Barbie Super Sports has cute outfits. Most of the games on that list simply do not have that feature." She makes a great point. It's a compelling argument. She goes on to say, and it has more than just one sport in one game. Innovator indeed.
Yeah. Okay.
She's making some really compelling points. So we're not marking it out yet. I think of the games that are left on this list, there's something in my heart that really wants NFL 2K5 to at least stay in the conversation
Okay.
a little longer. And I do kind of think I want FIFA 13 to stay in the conversation a little longer.
Sure.
However,
Mhm.
going back to the fringe conversation, I'm ready to yeet SSX3. Respect
Okay.
to a king, both
Respect to the
3
king.
and tricky. Respect. But if I was going to pick one snowboard game, I'd pick Snowboard Kids,
Okay.
which I
Okay.
just thought of. Right
Okay.
now.
That was a failure on your part.
It was a failure on my part. And the fact that it didn't come up until now tells me it's not top 10 material.
You're right. I'm content, Patrick, with yeeting NFL Street,
Okay.
mainly because I feel like NFL Blitz is just like a better, more fun version.
Yeah, I agree.
Though that game had a lot of style and
agree.
substance to it, I believe. NFL Blitz is just that is top tier
I agree.
entertainment.
So now the 3 that are in the not fully part of the conversation list now are Barbie Supersports, Mario Golf 64, and Mario Kart 8.
I think Colehouse is he's agreeing. He can't disagree here. I'm
On
assuming
Barbie.
in reference to Barbie.
It sounds like, until they prove me wrong, it sounds like Barbie Supersports is the lock of the chat. But please tell me if I'm wrong. So that leaves Mario Kart 8 and Mario Golf 64. I kind of, something about Mario Kart 8 to me doesn't feel right.
I concur.
Something about it, even though we consider racing a sport, it doesn't feel like a sports game to me. Even though it might be objectively the best game on this list, or on this screen, rather, I'm eating it. Not going to be in the conversation, which leaves Mario Golf 64. I'm looking through this list. I see FIFA. I see Backyard Baseball. I see Tony Hawk. I see Rocket League.
It's a great list.
It's a great list. And I guess the problem that I'm having right now, I'm having 2 problems simultaneously came in, and I'm hoping that you can guide me.
Okay.
I'm seeing a lot of baseball. I'm seeing a lot of football.
Yeah.
I'm seeing barely any hockey, barely any golf.
True.
Barely any Barbie.
You know what? My question is, which of these games, Patrick, are Knuff? And you know what I have to say about that? Ken Griffey Jr. baseball is Knuff.
It is. It is. Ken Griffey Jr., I think we're locking in. No, we're not locking in at 1, but we're locking in.
No, it's my lock. So I'm putting my foot down.
Okay, great. So that's officially your lock.
Is my lock.
Okay, great.
That is my childhood sports game right there.
For sure. So I guess what I was getting at, and the guidance I'm looking for, is I'm seeing a lot of baseball, I'm seeing a lot of football, not seeing a lot of golf, not seeing a lot of other sports. Do we feel like we should leave Mario Golf in the conversation as the representation of the sport of golf? Or is that too lame of an argument to keep it in so far?
It's tough. I think out of all of the golf games that I am partial to, I was a big fan of Hot Shots Golf.
Sure.
But that didn't make my top 10.
Yeah.
I don't know. Here's my thing is, like, as much as the Mario Golf games are fun, like, I feel like it's just, I don't know. I've just never been, I feel like it's one of those things where, like, it's always been on the lower tier of the Mario games for me.
Sure.
In my opinion, but
makes a great point. Wii Sports has golf.
That is actually very accurate.
That's a great point. Mario Golf off the list. Thank you, Sydney, for that guidance. The guidance I so desperately needed.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have Ken Griffey Jr. Baseball, Barbie Supersports, FIFA 13, Backyard Baseball, NFL 2K5, NHL Hits, NBA Jam, NFL Blitz. Sounds like I'm rhyming over here. Tony Hawk PS3. Nope, Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3. Rocket League, Wii Sports, NCAA 2K14, and NBA Street Volume 3. That's 13 games. We only got to cut 3 of these dogs.
Patrick, I'm going to do something brave.
Yeah. Please be brave.
I want to cut Rocket League.
Okay.
And as we all know, Rocket League is one of those games that I will just still play.
Yeah.
All the time. But I don't know. When I'm thinking sports game, I don't think of Rocket League as a traditional sports game. It's an esport. I don't think that Overwatch is a sports game. It's an esport, though.
Sure.
So technically, I guess to a degree, but the sport itself is playing
the
game, not the actual game.
Sure. I know. I think you're right. I think you're right.
Biggest of brains of energies.
That's some really big brain fucking energy, bro, and I love it.
Mm.
So what I've now done for those that are watching live, I've segmented them into sports. So we have 2 from baseball, 2 from basketball, 3 from football, and then 1 of each in the FIFA 13, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, NHL Hits, Barbie Super Sports, and Wii Sports. Those being kind of conglomerations of sports games. So not that I'm not going to sit here, Cayman, and say that we can't have 3 football games because there's the most of all the other sports games. But I just want to ask the question, do we feel like any of these 3 games shouldn't make the cut?
I'm going to say out of all of the football games, I don't know if I would keep NFL 2K5.
I'm surprised that I agree with you.
Yeah.
After all of that tale that was spun.
Sure.
I think I agree with you. And there are some lists online that'll have NBA or NFL 2K5 as the #1 sports game of all time.
Really?
There are, for sure. But it's one of those things where, you didn't play it that you remember.
I didn't.
And I did. And if we both can't feel like it deserves to be on the list, when there are games that do deserve to be on this list, I think it's getting yeeted, Cayman.
It's true. I think of these now.
We only got to cut one more.
We got to cut one more. Okay. I know this sounds terrible. I think I might get rid of NBA Street Volume 2.
You think so?
I think so. I think NBA Jam is just so many leagues better. NBA Jam, hear me out, could potentially be the greatest basketball game of all time.
Sure.
And seeing such a leap between these 2 games, I don't know. It's hard for me to separate.
There is no, I hear what you're saying. And there also is, because we're having such an honest conversation, NBA Street Volume 2, a fantastic game.
Yeah, no, you're right.
But also a little bare bones.
Bare bones.
There's not a lot within NBA Street Volume 2. Like, you talk about NFL Blitz, there's really just like, you're just playing football. And it's like really just like the exhibition mode, but like it's enough in NFL Blitz. Whereas I feel like something that I remember about NBA Street Volume 2 is the lack of like different courts and because of it being a PS2 game, having a lot better graphics. It has that cartoony style. Yeah, there's that feeling that it needed more for what it was.
Yeah,
I don't know that I want to commit just yet, but I think you might be right.
Okay.
Because I think I feel like NHL Hits and FIFA 13 are also ones that I could see as being kicked off the list.
Sure.
And I'm willing to say that if we wanted to kick one of those off the list, I can make that my lock, because I think that a hockey and a soccer game do deserve to be here.
Sure. No, and I don't disagree. That's why I would say if we needed to battle this out, I would put Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 against NBA Street Volume 2.
Okay.
And I would say, chat,
let's let the chat decide between
which do you think is the more deserving of these quote unquote sports game?
Yeah, I like this. Let's leave it up to the chat.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. You know what NBA Street Volume 2 doesn't have? Wolverine. Darth Maul.
Fuck.
So.
Fuck. That's such a good
point. Mean, tell me what's more sport than Darth Maul?
That's such a good point, dude.
Because he got you in the first half and he got you in the second half.
You know what, though? I'm going against what I just said. But I look at this list, Cayman.
Yeah.
And I'm having a moment of clarity.
Sure.
And that moment of clarity is that there's only 2 sim games on this list. Ken Griffey, I guess. Would we consider Ken Griffey a sim?
I mean, it was as close to a sim baseball game that you could get at that time.
Okay, so I guess there's 3.
Because you had full seasons that you could play.
That's true.
And a home run derby mode that was chef's kiss.
And I'm pretty sure I've told my story about Ken Griffey Jr. and the chicken wings and the fried chicken on this
Oh,
podcast.
was it the too greasy of the controller?
Well, it was my brothers and I. Well, I'll do the shortened version for now. My brothers and I it was a summer. We were playing King Griffey Junior baseball, and we were doing a season. And my mom makes great fried chicken. And what's better than fried chicken? Fried chicken the next day when it's cold. We're eating the leftover fried chicken, and we just the spirit of the day took over, and this weird thing happened where, like, if I took a bite of chicken and I clicked simulate, we won like 95% of the time. So it became this thing where I kept like eating fried chicken and simulating a game so that we could have a winning season, and it was one of the best days of my life.
Patrick, I think that's when your life was ruined. Was
Yeah,
that
probably.
moment? Mine was that
Probably.
booby game,
Yeah, probably. So I guess what I was about to get at was part of me, because so much of this is like fun sports games, not that a sim isn't fun, but like they're the arcadey style. I almost wanted to kill FIFA in that manner because we're not going to kill NCAA. You brought it up, Nick in the chat brought it up, or Nick in Instagram brought it up. So like there are voices saying NCAA football, whereas I'm the only voice that has said FIFA. So I think I'm willing. It's going to be shocking. It's going to be shocking to the world. But I think I'm willing to knock FIFA 13 off the list for the sake of
fun.
What
was the last FIFA game you played?
Last FIFA game I played regularly would have been 18 maybe, or 19. I think I own 21 or 22 because it was like on cheap sale, but then like I barely played it. The last one that I played like so much, like full multiple seasons worth, would be 15, which I considered at first, but then I remembered that 13, after doing some Googling, a lot of people consider 13 as the best FIFA. So I changed to 13 in that. But yeah, I'm willing to, a different time in my life, I wouldn't have let FIFA drop off the list, but it's got a new name now. FIFA is just rife with fucking
terrible
corruption.
Allegations.
So let's not honor FIFA on this podcast. So we got 10 games came in. So now I'm shocked that only took 20 minutes to get down to 10. But now we got to order them.
This is where things get even harder.
I want to shoot my shot.
Okay.
Cayman.
Shoot your shot.
And say, I think Backyard Baseball should be number one.
You know what? I think I'm okay with that.
Okay, cool. Because I think this game, not only did we get the most votes from the chat, or not the chat, the Instagram submission, it would be really high on my personal list, which I didn't actually do unranked, but it's the best of the Backyard franchise. Because, we could have added Backyard Football. We could have added Backyard Hockey. Baseball's the best one by a mile.
Oh, yeah.
And there are so many times that I wish that Backyard Baseball was still in the conversation. And I hope it comes back one day. But I feel like we need to honor it.
We need to honor it. We need that really, yes. Patrick, yes.
Okay. Not to say that it's locked in at number one, but I feel like this feels right. Also, Tony in the chat, he agrees with Ran, which I go up a couple. He says Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 better than 3, better than NBA Street. I don't know what to tell you.
It could be higher on the list at this point. We heard you. It's better than NBA Street.
Yeah, I feel like I do feel like we should drop NBA Street Volume 10 or number 2 to number 10 because that was the one that we considered cutting. Yeah. And I think because it does seem like Barbie Super Sports is the chat consensus pick, I think we can lock that in at number 9.
I think we can 100% lock that in at number 9.
Unless we think that it should be locked in at number 10. I don't want to disrespect
I'm going to shoot my shot, Patrick.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say, I think Wii Sports locks in at number 2.
Number 2?
I think number 2. If we sit here and really think about it, and we were to be like, what is the game that if you had to pick a consensus of the entire population, what sports game did you play the most?
We're talking like the entire 6 billion population.
Exactly. I guarantee you the number one game would be Wii Sports.
I guarantee you the number one game sport would be any FIFA, but I think
you think more people have played a single FIFA game than Wii Sports.
If we're taking in the entire globe, absolutely.
I don't think that's. I genuinely don't.
You got to remember that the entire world is obsessed with soccer.
No, you're not wrong there. But the thing is what we're not taking into consideration, Patrick, is this 6 billion people also have people like my mother.
That's true.
Who, if
many
you were to be
people
like, hey,
on
Stacy, if I put all of these games out, which one do you know? She'd be like,
God.
Wii Sports. And I'd be like, see, I think I'm right.
As of 2021, there's 7.8 billion people. That's 3 years old. We gotta fucking stop making babies.
we
y'all.
do. Don't listen to Elon Musk, guys.
But
don't have more children.
here's the thing. I got lost in the argument for a second.
We all did, man.
I got lost in the argument about Wii Sports and FIFA and who played more. I do think that Wii Sports deserves to be in the top 3. Whether or not I think that more people have played a FIFA game than Wii Sports, that doesn't matter in this conversation. I do think top 3 makes sense. And Terry says he agrees with number 2. Sydney says Wii Sports is a sport in itself. It deserves a high ranking. I think we can go ahead and lock it in at number 2.
I think it's a solid number 2.
I think it's a solid number 2. It is transcendent.
Yes.
You know how many people bought a Wii just to play Wii Sports?
Dude, did I ever tell you the story that when I worked at the old folks home, they had bowling night?
Yeah.
Once a week. It was,
So
I think,
cute.
Tuesdays,
Fucking
bowling night. And there was like 40 of them would come out. We had multiple TVs set up with multiple Wii units for the old folks to bowl. They had a league. It was a league,
I love that.
Patrick. It was amazing. So, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, Wii Sports, you were correct. It is transcendent.
I think NBA Jam deserves the 3 spot.
1,000%, yeah.
And I think NHL Hits deserves the 8 spot.
Okay, I dig it. I'm torn right now on whether NFL Blitzer Ken Griffey Jr. deserves 4.
You know, that's an interesting question. I am more drawn to NFL Blitz in the 4 spot, personally.
Okay. Then I would say NCAA football is number 6. Easy.
Oh, there it is. I'm being a little bit of a perfectionist right here.
I love it. I love getting the lines to line
exactly.
up.
Oh, I know. Canva, man. What a special little thing.
Like,
so you say in NCAA football being 6?
I think 6 because I don't feel comfortable putting NCAA above Ken Griffey Jr. baseball.
So you think Ken Griffey Jr. baseball should be number 5?
Easy. A nice middle spot.
Yeah. What do you think about this? Is so much less blood being shed than in the childhood episode.
So we need to make it worse.
Well, no, not necessarily. But I kind of feel like I kind of like Tony Hawk.
Okay.
At 6, Ken Griffey at 5, NCAA at 7.
Okay. This has been way too easy, Patrick.
It kind of has. What's the deal with that?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think it's not because you're not screaming at the top of your lungs about how Barbie needs to be above Halo and Zelda. And
I tell you what, if I had played Barbie Super Sports, this episode would be totally different.
I mean, like I said before, we can 100% change that, and you can report back.
I can.
You can probably emulate it actually a lot easier.
That's true. These are all possibilities. Let's see what the chat's saying. Please stream Barbie Super Sports. I will. I've been meaning to put together a ROM stream situation. This sounds like it'd be a great choice. So Cayman, does anything feel off to you here?
I don't, it
kind of feels like we nailed it.
I think we did.
So for our audio listeners.
Yeah.
Backyard Baseball number 1, Wii Sports number 2, NBA Jam number 3, NFL Blitz number 4, Ken Griffey Jr. Baseball number 5, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 number 6, NCAA Football 2014 number 7, NHL Hits number 8, Barbie Super Sports number 9, NBA Street Volume 2 number 10. John in the chat says, last minute Hail Mary, Barbie number 1, Backyard Baseball number 9. Terry makes a really good point, though. There's less nostalgia. That's exactly right. When we were arguing over the best games of our childhood, there was a lot riding there. There was a lot of emotion involved. This is, sports, famously no emotion in sports. That's why no one watches sports.
Yeah.
I feel good about this list, Cayman.
I do too. I think we did it, buddy. I think we finally had an episode that we don't walk away from and immediately stop after we're done recording, and we turn all of the stuff, and it's just the two of us sitting in the dark.
Just for silence.
With our shitty cameras on, not our other expensive cameras we used to record with. And we look at each other and be like, what have we done?
Yeah.
I don't think we're gonna have that moment. I think we're gonna have that moment where we end the episode, we look at each other while we're looking at each other through our shitty cameras,
Yeah.
and we say, "We did it.
We fucking did it.
We fucking did it.
We honored Pablo Sanchez.
We honored
Barbie.
We honored Barbie."
I feel like we kind of checked all the boxes that we needed to
King
check.
Griffey Jr. was enough to be at number 5.
Exactly.
I made another joke.
And John says, and I'll give it to him, honorable mention, number 11, Def Jam, Fight for New York. It's not on the list, but it is number 11. It
is in the honorable mention.
Yeah, it's in the honorable mention. So we fucking did it. If you think we're wrong, too bad. We're not. But thanks for being here. But let us know what, obviously there's a lot of submissions that people sent in that didn't end up making the cut. What would you have changed? Let us know. Mail at spotlightgames.net, or you can DM us on Twitter at SpotGamesPod, or on Instagram, TikTok, Twitch at SpotlightGamesPod, also on YouTube. Cayman, what a fun time.
It was a good time.
Can you believe it? We fucking did it.
Truthfully, I didn't know if it was possible for us to have an episode that ended normally.
Sydney says she found a way to play backyard baseball online, so tonight is a win. I need you to send that to me
Hey,
immediately.
Yeah.
Because I absolutely will stream so much backyard baseball, and I'm not even joking. Give me the Kahn brothers on a team with Pablo and Pete. I'm going all the fucking way, dude. Actually, you know what I just remembered? I'm not going to blow up the list because of this, but I've just been away from the sport of soccer for so long that I kind of forgot. Backyard soccer, also an S tier backyard game.
Yeah.
I don't know that you ever played backyard soccer.
Oh, no, yeah. We used to play. We had like you could get them in multi-packs.
Yeah.
With all of them. Yeah.
I would say I played baseball the most and then soccer the second most. I played so much backyard soccer. That is actually the real number 11, folks. Sorry. Cayman, where can the folks at home follow you if they want to?
I actually got a couple things, Patrick, I want to say. First is you can find me on Twitter at the Dumpster Boy. Secondly, I just want, if you're in our Discord, you would see me do a shout out. My wife started a little business called Bloodroot Glassworks. You can follow it on Instagram, where she's been posting a lot of really cool stained glass work. And Patrick is apparently one day going to come up with an abstract piece of art that we're going to display on the show that she's going to make for us. So if you want to go follow her there, that'd be really sweet. And I would thank you a lot for doing that.
Yeah, she's really talented.
Also, the last thing I want to say is, guess what? The day you're hearing this, tomorrow, if you're listening audio, then tomorrow, if you're hearing this right now, and on Friday, guess what? Dragon's Dogma 2 launches. And I don't think anybody's ready for that, because we just found out there ain't no fast travel.
Oh, no.
So you guys better lock and fucking load. It is about to get. So here's the reason why, Patrick, is because you're supposed to take carts, like ox carts, through the world to different locations.
Okay.
And you can be jumped by bandits and monsters and shit on the road.
Okay.
And you're not supposed to you're supposed to camp at night, because there's like really high level enemies come out at night. Okay. You can fight like the headless horseman and shit. Okay. All I'm saying is, guys, Game of the Year literally drops on Friday. I don't think anyone's ready. They're all going to say, Cayman, that's not true. Watch. Mark my words. Someone clip this cut at the Game Awards. Dragon's Dogma 2 will win Game of the Year.
I think there's a very good chance. This game looks fucking incredible.
It's going to be Elden Ring levels of like, holy shit. Yeah, I can tell you, because Monster Hunter World had this crazy cultural impact too, where people who'd never played a Monster Hunter game played it. That is going to be what this game is. And it's going to have Elden Ring levels of like, people are going to be really angry because there's going to be design choices that they're not huge on, there's going to be people who are like, this is just brilliant.
Yeah.
So
I'm going to be playing this one on PC, so I'll probably stream it at some point. If you're interested in a little Dragon's Dogma stream, let me know. You can follow me at Patrick Schwag. You can follow the pod at Spot Games Pod on Twitter, like I said earlier, and Spotlight Games Pod everywhere else. That includes TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitch. And like I said, click on the link in the description of the podcast or in the description of the YouTube video if you're watching the VOD to join the Discord. It's a lot of fun over there. Come on over, baby. We'll be back next week for another podcast, but we'll also be back tomorrow night with either The Last of Us Part 2, if my PlayStation decides to work, or Stardew Valley 1.6 update, which is available now if you don't already know and you want to play it. Thanks for being here. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, follow, all those things, because we're affiliates now, so we can actually get a little bit of money from Jeff Bezos's pockets.
Yeah.
But until next week, thanks for being here. Backyard Baseball for life.
Democracy.